Good afternoon. It's tax day. Everybody get their tax returns done today. I finished mine today. It's funny because accountants are historically notorious for never filing their tax returns on time. We are most always file them late. We're always doing clients or whatever. So, but my tax returns went in the mail this afternoon. So today is a win. So anyway, I hope you got yours done. If not, don't forget to follow those extensions. They are all due tonight for your individual tax returns. So I'm joining today because the other day on social media, somebody sent me a email or an instant message, I guess we call it, and said, "Can you tell me exactly what a fractional CFO is?" So I thought it was a question I hadn't really thought about. It's one of those things where you just know the answer. It doesn't really occur to you that others don't know what you're talking about. So I thought I would go on today and just take a few minutes and talk about what is a fractional CFO, and how does it differ from your bookkeeper and your CPA or other members of your finance team? So first, let's talk about what a fractional CFO is not. Because fractional doesn't even matter if it's a CFO, CMO, which is the Chief Marketing Officer, COO, Chief Operating Officer, or CTO, Chief Technology Officer. Fractionals have really become all the rage lately. I think partially because of the move that we've had the last few years to a much more remote workforce than we've had before. So fractional gets thrown around a lot. But in the accounting space, let's talk about what it's not. So a fractional CFO is not your bookkeeper. Your CFO may provide bookkeeping services as a part of what they're doing, but they are not doing your transactional bookkeeping. Bookkeeping is very transactional. It's basically going in, entering your transactions, reconciling your accounts. But if you're QuickBooks, which a lot of small businesses are in QuickBooks or they're in Xero, which is a tool or application similar to QuickBooks, and they're importing transactions from your bank account. They are, getting items categorized, and that is very transactional. And your CFO is not doing that. Again, they may manage a team that is, but they are not actually doing that themselves. They're also not your tax preparer. Again, some CFOs or some CFOs may offer tax services, but when they're doing tax compliance, that is not CFO services. Even when they're doing tax advising, that's really not a CFO service. But definitely compliance is not. And when we talk about compliance in accounting, we're really talking about keeping your books, filing your tax returns, whether it be sales tax, payroll tax, income tax. That's really compliance work. And your CFO is not actually doing your compliance work. Again, they may oversee it depending on the scope of work that you negotiate with them. But that is different from the CFO work. It's also not the person who's just providing your basic financial statements. Again, that should be a standard thing that your bookkeeper is providing to you. You should be getting every month a profit and loss statement, a bank statement, and a cash or a balance sheet, and a cash flow statement. That should be standard thing that your bookkeeper produces to you, or maybe your bookkeeper tells you, okay, your books are closed for the month, and you go run them yourselves. Your CFO will help you understand those numbers, understand the story behind them, but just producing the report themselves. I see a lot of people who say, oh, I have a CFO, and they provide me a P&L, a balance sheet, and cash flow statement. That's not CFO services. They are not the person running your AR, your AP, your payroll. Again, common theme, they may be overseeing, whether it's your team or their own team of people doing that. But the person, your CFO isn't your person who's in your process doing your financial transactions. We talked about this a little bit too. They're not necessarily your CPA. Some CFOs will be a CPA. In my case, I was licensed. I passed the CPA. I'm going to age myself. I passed the CPA exam in 1993. And there's a whole story I can tell you about why I took the exam at the time I did. But so I passed the exam in 1993. I was licensed in Maryland for a few years, and then I moved out to Illinois. And it's actually a big rigmarole to transfer your license, and in the jobs I've done, it wasn't really necessary. So I passed the CPA exam, but I don't have an active license right now. So again, your CFO may or may not be a CPA. So let's talk about what a CFO is. They are a part-time embedded leadership role within your business. And I think the leadership piece is a really important part. They've had some type of leadership role in coming from a functional environment. So in my case, I've got about 30 years of experience in corporate consulting and public accounting. I have served in financial leadership roles in companies from, small, micro businesses up to $200 million businesses. So the leadership piece is a really important piece, and they're part-time. So they're basically giving you the expertise of a CFO without you needing to pay for a full-time CFO. Full-time CFO for a private company who's not looking for VC or private equity is probably going to start at about $250,000. And again, most businesses up to maybe, generally speaking, about the earliest companies can afford a full-time CFO or a needed full-time CFO somewhere probably between 20 and 30 million. And that's probably kind of tight. 50 million, it's more common. But again, minimum salary is probably going to be 250,000. So you're getting them for a fraction of that cost. They look backward. So typically in the work I'm going to do, I'm going to go backwards and look and help you understand what happened. But my bigger focus is going to be forward looking, helping you create budgets, helping you create P&L forecasts, helping you do cash flow forecasting. So I want to look at the backwards to provide some context for what's happened and help you understand the story. But more than that, I want to look forward, and I want to help you understand what's happening in your business as you move forward. They're going to help you improve your profits and cash flows. It's a lot of the work that I'm doing. Most of the people that are coming to me because they want to improve profits, they want to improve cash flow, and maybe they also want to improve some processes. But that's a big part of my role, is to help you figure out how to improve your profits and cash flows. We're going to design and improve processes for you. So we're going to, in some cases, you may not have any processes. If you're having cash flow issues, maybe part of your cash flow issues is you don't have a solid invoicing process, or you don't have a solid AR process with, a process for sending reminder notices to clients, for reaching out for collections, for an escalation process. I'm going to help you design those things. I'm going to help you just establish policies and procedures that improves your controls, reduces your risk, and improves efficiencies. Depending, I may manage, mentor, and help develop your financial team, or coach not just you, but your leadership team on financial issues. And an important part of what I do, and what a CFO is going to do, is we're going to help you develop strategy to help you achieve your business and personal goals. So part of the work I do with my clients is to really understand not just their business goals, because a lot of my clients aren't necessarily, they're not going to go public. They're not out there, going on to Shark Tank. Maybe they want to sell their business, or maybe they are their brand, and what they really want to do is generate profits to create their own generational wealth. Maybe they want to invest in real estate properties. Maybe they want to have add a new revenue stream. But I'm really going to understand their business, their personal goals, and I'm going to be a partner with them in helping them develop strategy that allows them to achieve that. So that is basically, what a fractional CFO does. It's different from consulting. Consulting, which I also do, and a lot of fractional people will also do. But consulting is more project-based. It doesn't have the focus on the leadership piece. It's something where I'm going to come in. It's going to have a specific beginning and end date. Sometimes long-term fractional CFO clients will start as a consulting client, so they'll bring you in to do a particular job. You can kind of make sure you're a good fit, and then it might lean into more of a maintenance, continuing CFO, because that's another important part of the CFO. The fractional CFO is intended to be a longer-term relationship. So it doesn't mean you're married to each other. There's always an out, depending on who you're working with, various, 30 days notice or whatever. But the whole purpose of going into it is typically for a longer term relationship. Again, I do consulting work, but that's really the difference between the fractional CFO and the consulting work. So consulting work really has a beginning, an intended start date, and an intended end date, less of an embedded role, less of a focus on the leadership role, and more of a focus on a specific deliverable that you need. So I hope this helped you. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a DM, put a comment in. You can email me at carla@carlamotz.com, and I would love to talk to you more about it. If you think you're ready for that strategic finance role, again, I would love to talk to you about your business. All right. Have a great day. Happy tax day.